In this video, we are going to discuss about the structure and function of mitochondria. Mitochondria are commonly known as powerhouse of the cell. Mitochondria can be defined. It is a double membrane bonded organelle found in the cytoplasm of all eukaryotic cell. For example, protists, fungi, plants, and animals. The mitochondria is present. The word mitochondria is derived from two Greek words. Mito means thread and chondrion means granule. So for the first time when the mitochondria is discovered with the help of microscope, so it looked like thread-like. That's why the Coral Binda in 1898 gave the name mitochondria. And mitochondria for the first time observed by Richard Altman in 1894. The main function of mitochondria, it produces enzyme that convert food to energy. Mitochondria, as I know that it is commonly known as powerhouse of the cell because mitochondria are responsible for the conversion of nutrients into energy yielding molecule ATP to fuel the cell activities. The function known as aerobic respiration is the reason mitochondria are frequently referred to as the powerhouse of the cell. As we know that ATP is energy currency of the cell, and this ATP is produced by the mitochondria from food. So that's why mitochondria is known as powerhouse of the cell. And aerobic respiration, which are takes place within the mitochondria, composed of three steps: glycolysis, which are takes place within the cytoplasm; Krebs cycle and electron transport chain are takes place within the mitochondria. Origin of mitochondria, where mitochondria is originated. So mitochondria are derived from a bacteria by a process termed as endosymbiosis. Endo mean inside, symbios mean together life. Mitochondria arose about 2 billion years ago when a bacterium fused with an archaeal cell or pro-eukaryotic cell established a symbiotic relationship with a primitive eukaryotic cell. So for example, this is primitive eukaryotic cell and this is the mitochondria like bacteria. So when they form endosymbiosis, they form symbiotic relationship with one another. Then this bacteria within the primitive eukaryotic cell is converted into mitochondria. So this process is known as endosymbiosis. In this diagram, you can clearly see that this is proto-eukaryotic cell with the help of which when the aerobic bacteria become part of this large proto-eukaryotic cell. With the passage of time, this aerobic bacteria converted and performed the function of mitochondria. And this theory is known as endosymbiotic theory. These are the structure of mitochondria, and mitochondria structure is basically composed of outer membrane, inner membrane. In between the outer and inner membrane is known as intermembranal space. The inner membrane become enfolded to form a structure known as cristae. Within the cristae, matrix is present in which the Krebs cycle electron transport chain takes place. Within the matrix, ribosome as well as DNA is present. So that's why the mitochondria is sometimes known as self-replicating organelles. Location of mitochondria. As I told that mitochondria is present in all eukaryotic cells. For example, protists, fungi, plants as well as in animals. Morphology. The size of mitochondria is from 0.05 to 1 micron meter in diameter and their length from 1 micron meter to 10 micron meter in length. It has been shaped, it may be thread-like, it may be circular. The shape of mitochondria, it may be varies in various types of cells, while the number of mitochondria per cell is also varies. So it depends upon the type, size, and functional state of the cell. For example, an average liver cell contains around 1500 mitochondria, while the number of mitochondria in certain herd cell may be up to 40,000 per cell. So the shape as well as the number of mitochondria is changed according to the type of cell and according to the needs of the cells. Mitochondria is basically composed of outer membrane, intermembranal space, inner membrane, cristae, and matrix. The outer and inner membrane, their structure is similar to the structure of plasma membrane of the cell. As you know, in this diagram, you can clearly see outer membrane, inner membrane, intermembranal space, cristae as well as the matrix. Outer membranes. So it is made up of simple phospholipid bilayer. It encloses the mitochondria, contain large number of integral protein structure called purines, which allow molecule to freely diffuse from one side of the membrane to the other. Ions, nutrient molecule, for example, ATP, ADP, etc., can pass through the outer membrane very easily. Intermembranous space is also known as perimitochondrial space, or we can say that the space present between the outer membrane and inner membrane is known as a intermembranous space. It has high proton concentration. The space between inner and outer membrane is approximately 70 angstrom. Because of the outer membrane is freely permeable to small molecules, the concentration of small molecules such as iron and sugar in the intermembrane space is same as that of cytosol. Inner membrane is freely permeable only to oxygen, carbon dioxide and water. The inner mitochondrial membrane contains protein that perform redox reaction and oxidative phosphorylation, ATP synthase, transport of protein, protein import machinery, mitochondria fusion and fission protein. And we can say that within the inner membrane, if not if one particle or ATP synthase complex is present, where these are those complexes with the help of which ATP is produced. That's why it is known as if not if one particle or ATP synthase complex, and it is knob like structure. Are cristae are folds of inner mitochondrial membrane which expands its surface area, enhancing its ability to produce ATP. Stalk particle or inner membrane sphere. Cristae is covered with this inner membrane sphere called stalk particle or knob or heads, or commonly known as ATP synthase complex. Matrix. It is the space enclosed by the inner membrane. Gel-like consistency, dense, homogeneous, contain 2 to third of total protein of mitochondria. Matrix have enzymes, DNA genome, ribosome, transfer RNA granules, fibrils, and tubules is present within the matrix. An important function of the matrix that Krebs cycle and electron transport chain to produce ATP of aerobic respiration are mainly takes place within the mitochondria. Mitochondria are unique in their own way, containing their own circular DNA and their own ribosome. So that's why it prepares their own protein. That's why it is known as self-replicating organelles. So the mitochondrial DNA is small, double-stranded, covalently closed circular molecule occur in multiple copies, and it has 16,569 base pair, and most usually remains attached to the inner mitochondrial membrane, store biological information required for growth and multiplication of mitochondria. We can say that the function of mitochondrial DNA that it is required for growth and multiplication of mitochondria. These are other functions that not absolutely autonomous, depends on nuclear DNA. The mitochondrial DNA depends upon a nuclear DNA. These are the structure of mitochondrial DNA as well as the nuclear DNA. The mitochondrial DNA is circular in shape, while nuclear DNA is helical in a shape. Inheritance of mitochondrial DNA. That mitochondrial DNA is inherited maternally in most animals. Father only gave genes to their children, but mother gave both genes and cytoplasm through their egg cells. As we know that mitochondria are present within the cytoplasm, so that's why we can say that it inherited maternally. Since mitochondria are in the cytoplasm and reproduce themselves, they only are inherited from mothers. Hence, this pattern of mitochondrial DNA inheritance is known as maternal inheritance. Function of mitochondria. It performs the respiration known as aerobic respiration, which takes place in the presence of oxygen and produce ATP energy. Mitochondria are more abundant in the cell that contain a lot of energy. For example, muscle cells, while in muscle cells of the heart. Extra mitochondrial inheritance, mitochondrial DNA contain plasma genes. Synthesis of mitochondrial DNA produce RNA and protein. Bring about gene expression through gene duplication, transcription, and translation. Sites of several metabolic reactions: outer membrane, oxidation of epinephrine, degradation of tryptophan, elongation of fatty acids, or takes place in outer membrane. Oxidative phosphorylation takes place in inner membrane. Krebs cycle, beta oxidation, detoxification of ammonia, as well as electron transport chain, or takes place within the matrix. Detoxification of ammonia and urea cycle takes place in matrix, as well as it store calcium ion. As we know that aerobic respiration, that glycolysis that takes place within the cytoplasm, and Krebs cycle electron transport chain are takes place within the matrix of mitochondria. While proton concentration gradient is developed when Krebs cycle electron transport chain are takes place, so the hydrogen ion concentration within the intermembranous space it become increased and it help in the production of ATP. And at last it combined with oxygen to form H2O. Other function production of heat, and this process is known as non-Schering thermogenesis. Role in apoptosis, which is commonly known as program cell death. It also responsible to synthesize estrogen and testosterone, help in role in neurotransmitter metabolism, role on cholesterol metabolism, and role in a heme synthesis. Mitochondrial disorder. When mutations are takes place, mutation means change in DNA and genes for mitochondrial protein encoded by both mitochondrial DNA and nuclear DNA causes of disorders such as strokes, cardiomyopathy, neuropathy, and hearing loss. If you like the video, please share, subscribe,